What's going on, MBL and Grid? We are so excited to be here. It is January 12th, 2018. We're into the new year. This is episode 30 of the Commissioner Corner podcast. I'm here with Bomber. Bomber, can you believe that we've got 30? This is episode number 30 for us?
Yeah, man. It seems like we just started this not too long ago, and we're already at episode number 30. And that, I mean, it just comes down to, grinding and getting these podcasts out. They come out every other week. So, man, it's been almost, like 60 weeks of podcasts. So that's pretty crazy, and pretty much a, shout out to, let's pat ourselves on the back for that one, staying with that consistency much needed in the network. But I'm excited to be here. Got a little bit under the weather, a little bit of a cold right now, if you can tell. But I'm here plugging through because I got to carry this show. That was a shot at you. You didn't know. All right, mess up the intro. Go with the intro. All right, Liv's going to be taking over the show, doing all the...
doing that on purpose.
Yeah, here we go. Go ahead. I'm not going to cut you off anymore. Let's go.
All right, so we're beginning NBL season 29, so we're going to take a look at the draft. We've got two teams that we really want to look at, and we're kind of going to debate on who won the draft because there was two teams that really knocked this thing out of the park. We're going to look at two specific players, and we're going to talk about which ones are going to help their team moving on. And we're going to have a little bit of time at the end to do our MBL Crossfire. So we got a lot of stuff to get to. Let's jump right in it. Right now, we're going to be starting off with the Atlanta Falcons. And boy, did they draft. They drafted some studs. They got wide receiver Ronnie Bradford, and they also took another wide receiver, Dion Burst. Now, these are two guys that are going to make an impact right away. Bradford out of Notre Dame and Burst out of the Pittsburgh, as Hop would say it. Very talented guys, both smaller, small-framed wide receivers. Bradford's 5'10", 177, very light for a receiver. And Burst is 5'11", 175. So both of these guys are small wide receivers, but they're very quick. Bomber, where do you see these guys fitting into this Atlanta Falcons offense as they try to transition away from Matt Ryan and Julio Jones? We know they've had some injury history. They're trying to get some new guys in there that'll stay healthy and produce. Where do you see these two guys making an impact for the Falcons?
Well, we knew wide receiver was definitely something that this team needed to bring in, as Julio Jones, obviously 31 years old, getting older. His stats did not live up to the hype last season. He failed to reach 1,000 yards for the second consecutive year, NBL season 27 and 28. He was 837 yards in season 27, 934 yards in season 28. And he's only getting older, and he's aging. They brought in Kelsey Ford last season. He was a second-round pick, another speedy wide receiver. So now they have three speedy wide receivers, very tiny. I mean, you're looking at this roster. Let me do the height and give you a little bit of these guys' size right now. You got Taylor Gabriel, 5'8", Dion Burst, the rookie, 5'11", Ronnie Bradford, the rookie, 5'10", Kelsey Ford, the second-year player I just talked about, 22 years old, another speed demon, 5'10". I think this is a quarterback nightmare. You're not having any really big targets. And then you go down and look at the tight end position. Yeah, you have Austin Hooper, but then you only have Segwick Love, who's pretty much an unknown at the position. So I don't think there's many options down the field for a team that likes to play action and look deep down the field. There's not many big targets to kind of mix in with these nice speed guys they brought in. So I don't know how this is going to work out. But they did have a wide receiver need, and they went with two similar wide receivers. You said Dion Burst earlier. I think Dion's going to be a great player. University of Pittsburgh, 5'11", 175. He is very light in the tail, as my man LeVar Ball would say. Ronnie Bradford, though, 5'10". This is the superstar. This is the guy we're looking at. Yeah, he's a little bit older, 24 years old, from the Notre Dame. According to Hop, he was the one selected right after Burst. And this guy's got a lot of upside and a lot of potential. He's also young in the tail. Light in the tail, 5'10", 177 pounds. But he does have that superstar development. I look for this guy to be a factor. And really, what do we really talk about when we look at Atlanta? I mean, what's the most important thing we always say is health, right? Health concerns, health concerns. This is a dominating football team when they are healthy. And we always have to add that in, when they are healthy. And have they been healthy in the last 3 seasons? No. They bring in an injury-prone Ronnie Bradford at Notre Dame. He struggled to stay on the field at times. Now, Burst was a little bit healthier, but Bradford's the one with the upside, so I'm going to like to see how that's going to balance out, because you got one guy that really doesn't have a history of injury, but he's not as, he doesn't have the ceiling that Bradford has, and Bradford does have a history of injury at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and those are two guys that are going to help along the progression of Brody Denton, rookie quarterback out of Colorado. I'm very interested to see how these guys gel together and play together as we move forward. As you said, in the past, the offense kind of gets the wide receivers in some tight spaces, gets them hit quite a bit. We'll see if that changes with Denton coming in, if he would get the start and be the guy over Matt Ryan. But keeping those wide receivers healthy is a huge thing, and that's really going to determine their success, because the injuries have just piled up over the past 2 seasons, and they haven't really been able to be successful.
All right, let me interject real quick. So Vine's in the chat, obviously the MBL Network fan, MBL the #1 fan. He says he doesn't think Bradford and Burst, here's his take, he doesn't think they will break out like Harvey Beckham did. And in fact, I see them only being fringe Pro Bowlers at best throughout their careers. Now, Lip, what is your take on that? Any immediate response to that? You think these guys are fringe Pro Bowlers, or do you think they can give a little bit more to this team and to the franchise and to the league and be more of an impact player? I know we said we're going to talk MBL Hall of Famers, player Hall of Famers. Do they have potential for that, either one of these guys?
I think that Bradford might, but my concern is that you've got a lot of guys that are very similar. We've got Taylor Gabriel, as everybody knows, Dion Burst, and now Ronnie Bradford. And that's not even mentioning Kelsey Ford. They brought in last year, who's the same 5'10", small frame, speedy guy. You've got 3 or 4 identical guys right there. And I'm not sure. I know it's very tough for one guy to step up whenever you're trying to get the most out of all those guys. You spent a lot getting Burst and Bradford. You used a draft pick last year on Ford. It's very hard to distribute the attention to all of these guys in this league. I'm not sure that any of them will be able to stand out as a Hall of Famer. I think that there's one guy that we're going to talk about later that could, but I don't think that any of these guys really have the Hall of Fame ability, just because of the offense they're in. They're going to be limited. If you took one of them and put them on a couple different teams throughout the league, I think that would give them that potential. But right now, I'm not sure, because there's a lot of guys there that are going to be able to try and step up.
And a side note of a little bit of information, NBL season 26, 27, 28, that's what we've been through in this Madden 18 cycle. Matt Ryan, here's a fun fact for you, Lip, has yet to throw over 3,000 yards in a season, mainly due to injury. But this team is not throwing 3,500 to 4,000 yards passing. So to go first round, get 2 picks in the top 15, top 16, and what most considered one of the top heaviest drafts I've ever seen, Lip. There was so much talent out there. You could have went best player available and went over top and superseded these small, speedy wide receivers that maybe you could have gotten later. And you already had Ford on your team as is. So I don't know the immediate impact this is going to have. And this is going to be a work in progress, transitioning this team from a defensive team that can pass the ball, but they never were a volume passing team. I mean, you're looking at other teams that bring in and have success passing the ball. They're passing over 4,000 yards or high 3,500 to 4,000 area, and you just don't see that in Atlanta. So I don't know if that's going to have a huge payoff. It was kind of a risk and maybe a change in the offensive strategy for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I think on draft day that trade may have been to get a quarterback. The guys that they liked were gone. They got one in the later rounds, but you spent your 2nd round pick on Kelsey Ford last year. Didn't really play out. I'm not sure about the move, but we're going to move into a guy now that I think definitely has NBL Players Hall of Fame potential. And we're going to the Chicago Bears, a team that you, Bomber, would know quite a bit about. And we're talking about the towering monster. The lightning quick Fisher Fort, 6'6", 235 pounds, out of Georgia. This guy is an absolute freak, and the Bears got him at 7 somehow. How on earth does this happen? Letting this guy pass for a couple of players that probably aren't that special. Fisher Fort might be the most special talent I've ever seen come out of one of our drafts.
Well, yeah, you look at this guy, and he has all the potential to be a superstar player, 6'6", 235 pounds. You see it on the screen right now, 93 speed, 87 route running, out of box essentially, 92 spec catch, 94 jumping. He can do it all, but here's how he falls. Here's how he falls to Chicago, and what makes Chicago's draft so special is, I always say to go on a run or to start something special in the NBL, you need a little bit of luck. And luck comes with timing. Right place, right time, right uniform is what you say in the military. And that's kind of what happened to Chicago. They were in the right place. They were in this draft, and they had a very low pick. It was the right time because all the teams in front of them have already gone the route of wide receiver in MBL season 27 and 28 rookie draft. And guess what? They were in the right uniform because the uniform was theirs. And that's why Fisher Fort fell to the Chicago Bears, because these teams, Philly could not have drafted another wide receiver at that point. Quarterbacks were going. The 49ers already drafted 2 wide receivers. So we're looking at teams that have both gone wide receiver, and they find themselves ahead of Chicago, but they're not even looking at wide receiver. Then you get a great wide receiver like Fisher Fort. He comes down, and Mitchell Trubisky is right now, he's licking his chops, and he's saying, man, I got another guy I can toss it up to, and he can make those big plays and make our team look good. But more importantly, make Mitch Trubisky look good. He's going to have Cameron Meredith on one side, Fisher Fort on the other. That's going to be a nightmare.
Absolutely. And I think that you look at what, like you said, where the Eagles went last year with, I think, Holloway was not really, the league didn't really feel like he was worth the number 2 pick. And now they went somewhere else. And then you see Fort fall down to 7 because teams were taking quarterbacks. That's just, like you said, right place, right time.
And that run on quarterback, though, that run on quarterback was crazy. I mean, we saw how many quarterbacks go off on the board in the first 7 picks. What was it, 5, 6 quarterbacks? We haven't seen that in – I don't know if we've ever seen that before in the 29 seasons doing MBL. I think we've had, 25 drafts in the MBL. You think releases come out and then we don't draft that season. Yeah. So we probably had 25 drafts. And I don't think I've ever recalled quarterbacks going off the board as rapidly in one draft as we saw in MBL season 29. It was really something to watch, and it had that domino effect that allowed a guy like Fisher Fort, who many compare to Calvin Johnson. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he has the ability. Man, to fall to 7, I mean, that is crazy to me. What a steal from the Bears, and they weren't done yet, Lip.
No, they weren't. Absolutely, Fisher Fort, I think, is the most dominant player. And like you said, with that draft, we never saw a run on quarterbacks like that. I'll speak for myself. I made the move from 31 to 24 thinking one of those guys would fall to at least that spot. I wasn't confident in 31, was more confident in 24, but they were all gone because of that run. But like you said, the Bears didn't just end with Fisher Fort. They brought in another guy who's going to be playing defensive end for the Chicago Bears, and they already have Aaron Donald on that front line for their defense. And we're talking about Cedric Slade, 6'4", 297 out of Florida State. This guy's got incredible strength. They drafted him at number 11, right a few picks after Fisher Fort. And this just makes their defensive line more terrifying to go along with that good offense that they're building.
Yeah, you get a rookie and you always ask, you ask yourself this, at least as an owner in the NBL, I'm asking myself this. I'll ask you guys in the chat. Are you guys asking this to yourself? Can he have immediate impact, or is this some guy I'm going to have to build and maybe get his awareness and certain things up? And then maybe towards the end of this first rookie season, I can start seeing what kind of player he could become. That's what I look at. There's 2 types of things. Is this a risk? High risk is going to be a late development, going to take a little longer, or is he an immediate player that can make an impact? I think what the Chicago Bears did on not back-to-back picks, but 2 picks in the first round, I think they went out there and got 2 immediate impact players. And I'm talking huge superstar players with ceilings that are probably highest in this draft. Slade, wow. I mean, you look at that guy, he is a beast. Fisher Fort, the same thing. I mean, and you pair him next to Aaron Donald. Imagine the things he's going to be learning in the locker room next to a guy like Aaron Donald, who came over and said, hey, I want to be the center of rebuilding this this Chicago defense that was so legendary back in the day. I mean, the NFL, you always talk about that Chicago Bears defense. You got a hometown guy, Bob, trying to rebuild this defense, and what is he doing? What is he doing? He's doing exactly that. You see him go wide receiver, and you go, okay, well, they don't pass a ton, but this guy's going to be a superstar. You can't pass on him. And then when he gets to the 13th pick, he takes Slade, and then that ends up happening and falling into his hands, and you start thinking, wow, what kind of defense are they building in Chicago? And now you look at it, and you're starting to see this plan come to fruition. There is a lot of positivity in Chicago right now, and the expectations are rising. No more 9-7, 10-6. We need to see 11, 12-win seasons here in the next couple seasons for the Chicago Bears to see if this is really going to pay off and really going to be put to paper. What's put to paper is actually going to be put to the field to see if this success is real in Chicago.
Yeah, and they definitely added an absolute superstar on offense, and then they add, you can say he's going to be a star, but at worst, he's going to be a very solid piece opposite of Donald.
I'd say he's probably a Pro Bowler at worst.
I would think
he's
so.
Easy Pro Bowler. I mean, we talked, Jay Vines talked earlier, fringe Pro Bowlers in Atlanta. I completely agree when he said that, but I think these 2 players are solid multi-year All-Pro, Pro Bowl players in the MBL and potential MBL Hall of Famers, both of these guys. So I don't think the Falcons have a potential MBL Hall of Famer right now, but I think the Bears might have two.
Yeah, I absolutely think so because, like I said, there's a lot of talent there, and they've put those guys into a good system and a good place with what they have to build around. I think that's an incredible move. Like I said, I think Fisher's the best talent I've ever seen coming out. But moving on, we're going to talk about a guy and a team that everybody, when they saw this pick, they thought, "Oh no," because this is not this talent that went to this specific team. They did not need this, but boy, did they get a special player, and that defense is going to be even more terrifying. And we're talking about left outside linebacker Ben Fowler, and he went to the Los Angeles Chargers. It's incredible that they have so much talent on defense. They have brought this guy in, and they had Jay Cutler and Cardale Jones playing quarterback for them last year, and they went 12-4. We know they brought in Carson Wentz. So now you add this young rookie along with Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Jason Verrett, all those guys on defense that they've got. I think that this roster is absolutely Super Bowl ready, and now they've got their quarterback and a star on the outside on defense to go along with it.
Yeah, you know what they call we call this Los Angeles Chargers in the NFC? You know the nickname we gave them?
What's that?
We call them the AFC Atlanta Falcons. and that's not a knock on the Chargers. Obviously, we respect the Chargers. We respect ownership over there. But we say that because it's always health concerns. They might actually have worse health issues than Atlanta actually has, and Atlanta is not good at all. So this is a team, they bring in Ben Fowler, and wow, I mean, this guy's got superstar development, 88 speed. He's a little light in the tail. He's not the biggest guy, 228 pounds, 84 tackling, great. Pursuit 77. He'll get that up to 90. Only 21 years old. Absolutely love this kid from LSU. He can get it done on the field, but can he stay healthy? 228 is my big concern. When you're that light and that small, you have a tendency to go down, and I just hope, for the sake of these Los Angeles Chargers, they can shake this injury bug, and we can see that team on paper actually get the play on the field. Because how many times have we seen them get into the playoffs and their depth chart has been completely depleted because they just don't have healthy players to put on the field? And that's the issue I have with Los Angeles right now. Ownership's doing everything they can to bring in the talent, but the players have to stay healthy, and they have to, be able to have that longevity in order to have success in the NBL. And that's my one concern in Los Angeles. It's just health, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that something needs to be pointed out about that organization. I believe 2 seasons ago, the Chargers were in the AFC Championship. They did not have Melvin Ingram. They did not have Joey Bosa, and they were missing both tackles, their left and right tackle, and it was still a very close game for most of the game. That says that even through injury, all of the effort and time they put in, they have good depth, and they have a good coaching system, and their players believe in that system, and even through all of those injuries, they can still fight. And I think that that's a team to look out for because now they've got a defense and they've got their quarterback. And that's something that we were worried about last year, but they still went 12-4 with those quarterbacks. So that'll be interesting to see, and I'm very excited to see that because I have a lot of respect for Gubb and the Chargers.
And yeah, if we're looking at division crowns, then this team is successful, and they are going to continue to be successful. They've dominated that division. They haven't lost the division. They've won it the last 3 seasons since Gubb took over the Los Angeles Chargers this Madden cycle. So if that's the goal, well, congratulations, he's doing it. But I don't think that's the goal in LA. I think they're thinking championships. And even though they are excelling, they have guys that in depth positions that are kind of exceeding what their talent actually is. I don't think that's the goal over there, and you can't win with those guys. You can't win Super Bowls with a depleted talent pool that the Chargers have been playing with due to injury.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of mouse trouble here, but I'm going to move on to the Green Bay Packers because they also drafted a very talented player, and that's Harless Hepburn. He's going to be playing cornerback. I'm sorry, I can't open my
that's all right. I got the stats on Hepburn. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I can't open my
all right, Hepburn's 94 speed, 23 years old, Michigan State. Man, this guy, I thought he was the best. So in the chat, Vine said, I can't believe Blake went number 1. Well, if you went cornerback number 1, I was thinking you go Harless Hepburn. This was a guy that got drafted, I believe, 17th overall for the Green Bay Packers, who had a phenomenal season. The only thing Green Bay couldn't do was defend the pass last season, and now they bring in Harless Hepburn, and that's going to change. Harless Hepburn has the speed. He's got the skill. He has the ability. I think he's going to be, and wait for it, a lockdown corner in the MBL, and you don't see many of those. You see guys that got the speed, but they can't cover. You see guys that are too slow, but they can cover. This guy can do it all, and when you're DIA and in the MBL, at a cornerback position, you're a big deal, and to get him middle of the first round, I don't think we've seen cornerback as talented as this fall to 17. So talk about an outlier draft. Here's another outlier, Harless Hepburn. How he falls to 17, I don't know, but it goes back to the thing, man. The run on quarterbacks was so strong, and Green Bay definitely didn't need a quarterback. This is a team that finished, I think, 9-7 last season, had a winning season, looked strong at the end, had some big critical wins over a couple powerhouse teams. And, man, I know, speaking from personal experience, they pushed the Detroit Lions to the limit. They were putting up points. They just couldn't stop a nosebleed in the passing attack. I think they go out and address that issue in the first round. A-plus grade for the Green Bay Packers. And if he had had another pick, he would have been up there competing with the Chicago Bears for arguably the best draft, especially in the first-round picks in the MBL Season 29 rookie draft.
Yeah, I definitely think Hepburn's going to make a huge impact in Green Bay. And the best thing about this guy is that he's a man-to-man corner. And what that allows you to do is whenever you're man-to-man, you've got that guy. It's one-on-one. Might have safety help over the top sometimes. Might just be you. But when you're in zone, you've got help from other guys. And I think that's going to help in his development because right now he's kind of lacking in zone coverage. But that man is overpowering at 6'2" with that speed. I don't really see him getting beat too much in man-to-man coverage. The zone's going to come along quick because he's a great player, smart player from Michigan State. I think that actually plays into this team's defensive strategy to be able to lock down teams' number one receivers, and that's going to help them really take that next step. I definitely think that they're a wild card team for sure next year.
Absolutely. You saw what the needs, the team needs for the Green Bay Packers. Real quick, let's close out on this topic. But their needs were offensive line, defensive line, cornerback. Scratch cornerback off the list. Harless Hepburn is that guy. He's going to be the lockdown corner in Green Bay. I'm happy for this team. I think there's a bright future in Green Bay. Big shout out to Chunky doing a phenomenal job making his draft pick in the first round. That was definitely one of the top steals of the draft. As there was a few. There was about 5 or 6 that I really turned my head and go, oh, wow. But that also meant there was probably like 6 or 7 I was left scratching my head, and we'll probably talk about those later on the Crossfire segment. But let's move on, Lip. What do we have next on the topic for the Commissioner Corner podcast, episode number 30?
We're moving into the Baltimore Ravens because, boy, do they have a little bit of a mix-up, an issue going on at quarterback. Quarterback's an important position, but that does not mean that you have to pay between $30 and $40 million spread across 3 guys. This is a crazy situation. You know, the Baltimore Ravens originally had Joe Flacco. Then last offseason, they bring in Andy Dalton. And now this offseason, which is a move that I really like. I don't like that a lot of money's tied up in Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton, but I do really like the move for Andrew Luck for the Ravens. They needed a quarterback. They needed a franchise guy. The previous 2 didn't show that they could be that. Andrew Luck hits the market. The Ravens are all over that. They bring him in $19 million, which is a good contract for Andrew Luck. I don't think that they overpaid him. And I'm excited to see where this team goes because I think the team's got a lot of talent. They just needed a legitimate quarterback to be their leader, and I think they found it in Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I don't know about the Luck contract, man. I'm kind of on a different side of the spectrum with this. You know, I'm looking at Luck. He got paid, what, 6 years, $150 million? Is that what he got paid? You want to look that up? Anybody in the chat? Because I'm looking right now. I see 6 years, $96 million, 69. Shout out to Gronkowski signing bonus. And now my math isn't the best, but that puts us well over $150 million over 6 years. And to me, let me read off the QBR for Andrew Luck. Now, we're talking potential of what he can potentially do for your franchise. I get it. 100% I get it. But I'm more of a numbers guy. I like to see what have you done, and more importantly, what have you done for me lately? And I think Andrew Luck has not done much. Last year, 15 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, QBR 67. That doesn't warrant a 6-year, $150 million contract. MBL season 27, 22 touchdowns, 26 picks, 80.1 QBR. That does not warrant a 6-year, $150 million plus contract. MBL season 26, right out of the box. I'll give him a break on this. 28 touchdowns, 37 picks, 76 QBR. That does not warrant a $150 million contract over 6 years. So I believe this was a bad deal on a team that was just desperate. And when you get desperate, you start reaching. And, I don't like reaching. I don't like reaching. I'm from the philosophy. I'm from the Gary Payton style of defense. You do what you can. You stay in front of the defender, but you don't reach. And I think that's what Baltimore did. They didn't trust the process, and they reached right here. And now they have a 30-year-old Andrew Luck combined with a 35-year-old Joe Flacco, or however old he is, and a 35-plus-year-old Andy Dalton making 11. I mean, let's add that up. You got 20 million, 10, that's 30. You're playing almost 45 million for the quarterback position. That's too much if you're Baltimore. It makes no sense. I understand you wanted Andrew Luck, but you really, really reached here, and I hope it works out for you. But based on all common knowledge and based on his pertinent past history, I'd say this was a really bad contract to a really mediocre quarterback in the NBL.
I will defend that by saying that I think Andrew Luck was in an ultra-aggressive offense the last 3 seasons. The Colts, they play a lot of offense. They don't play a whole lot of defense outside of Malik Hooker. So I think that you come to this team where they'd like to be patient on offense and play defense. So I think that that's a good move because I think Andrew Luck's going to find a good role in this offense with finally having a defense. And I think that's very exciting for the Ravens because they've kind of been in this spot where they don't really know if Flacco can do it. They try to move on. Andy Dalton, we all know who he is. Andrew Luck's got a couple years left, and I'm definitely thinking that they're going to ride out the cycle with Luck. And that's going to bring them some success. But speaking of success, we're going to talk about a team that's making a switch. And they've got a little bit of help from the community giving them some guidelines. We're going to talk about what Jay Vines has said on Twitter to the owner of the Carolina Panthers, what he thinks they should do in that move. Hop, can we get the tweets up there to look at what Jay Vines is thinking about what the Panthers should do?
Oh, we got it up there. All right, so Jay Vines, the NBL super fan, he says recently at Panthers NBL, you can give him a follow right now, guys. If you're not, that's the Panthers ownership in the Madden Bomber League, have decided to transition from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4. And while most owners think it's a dumb decision that will only worsen a terrible decision, I think it's a great idea, but only if executed correctly. Here's how I plan to envision it for Carolina. So if you look at that thread, it's on his thing. You can find them at, I can't see the ad on there. Well, it's Jay Vines. 704_Jaybird, a big-time Arizona Cardinals fan, a big-time NBL Arizona Cardinals fan. So I hope I didn't butcher your tweet too much, but check this out. I completely agree. Panthers was so bad on defense, they got to make a change. Going to a 3-4, get a couple more linebackers in there blitzing. I think that makes sense for them because I think pressure busts pipes, and if they can just get some pressure on the quarterback, that will help. That will help the lack of ability they have in the secondary. I mean, this is a team depleted in the secondary. They don't have a strong secondary. So I think if up front they can just get a little pressure, they might have an opportunity here to create some turnovers and actually have some kind of a defense that has a pulse.
Pressure busts pipes, and I had a little experience with that over the past 2 days, so thanks for the reminder. But
you want to share your story real quick?
No.
Real-life story?
I want to talk about Shaq Thompson making $80 million a year for 2 sacks. I get it. They were 4-3 last year. He's not really playing that outside linebacker like a pass rusher, but I like that move specifically because of this guy. I think that he's been held back because of this. Their defense did not play into what he can do. I think if you put him in the outside linebacker spot, like true pass rushing outside linebacker, I think that he has an ability to make that impact on the game. Like you said, get the pass rush going because your secondary is not going to hold up in a 4-3 that's not really getting the pressure. So I like the move for 3-4. I've always been a 3-4 guy. I like to have my fast, athletic guys out on the field compared to some star-looking defensive lineman type fellas, and that the Shaq Thompson contract might finally make sense, which I've been talking about for a long time. Might finally make sense with this move.
Yeah, sometimes you pay a player, you put him in a position, and it doesn't work out. Now you have all this money essentially tied up to this guy, and you got to think, how can I make this guy? How can we get the most get the most bang for our buck? And I think that's what they're doing here. But I also think it really just comes down to pressure. This is a team that gets sacked a lot and doesn't sack a lot of their opponents. So they're in a kind of a peculiar spot. I hope they get out of the rut because this is a 10-win team, even amongst all the issues that they have and all the lack of really identity on the defensive side of the ball. I know I use the word identity a lot when describing teams. I think Carolina on offense has a strong identity. You know what you're going to get, and I like that identity, but I think on defense they are completely lost. The switch to the 3-4 might spark something in some of these players, and you might get that production you need and they need to be more successful and compete in the NFC South. I think this was a great move, and I think Jay Vines made a great point, and I'm not one of the haters or doubters. Lip isn't one of the haters or doubters, so the people that were doubting that, I want them to come out and explain why staying with the same old 4-3 and struggling year after year is the right move for Carolina, because I just don't see it. Lip, was this our final topic?
Yeah, it was. And we're going to try to implement more of these tweets. Jay Vines really goes in depth. A lot of things that he sees owners doing in the NBL, a lot of advice for them. And it's really interesting to see. So we're going to try to feature more of his advice and some more community members. So if you've got an opinion, if you've got some advice for some owner, get it out there to the owner, get it out there to us at Bomber League on Twitter. And we might choose it to bring on here and talk about to get that information out. But we're moving into our final segment, the MBL Crossfire, where you guys ask questions. Get the questions in the chat. We're gonna wait here for a second to get some more in, but I'm going to start with, will the Vikings win the NFC North this season? That's from Shadow Rose Unisolated. Will the Vikings win the NFC North this season? Bummer.
You want me to answer that? Well, I'm going to say no. I mean, I'm the Lions. Why would I say yes to that? That's kind of that's a deflating question. Why I would want to say somebody else is going to win the North? Honestly, it doesn't. It might mean more to the Vikings organization than it does to the Lions organization. It means a lot less to me. I'm focused on other things, man. We're trying to compete. I think the Vikings make us better. I think we all make each other better, and that's what makes our division strong. So whoever wins the North, man, is a real threat. I would say that. That would be my response to that. Whoever wins the North is a real threat, especially in the playoffs, because we're all playing each other, and I think we're all kind of making each other better. And I think that's what makes for a dangerous division, and dangerous teams come out of those type of divisions. Because I think right now, as of right now, we're 4 deep, and we definitely have some guys that I think are on the up and up. I said the Packers earlier. Bears had a great draft, and you know what you're getting from the Vikings. So I'm really excited about our division. I'm glad that we have the competition that we have.
Yeah, I think that the draft pick of Jack Gerberry is very interesting. They might be moving away from Teddy Bridgewater. I like that move. Get them a fresh start at quarterback. They've already got a good run game, good defense. They kind of fell apart last year. I've called them out several times about that, but maybe Gerberry is the answer.
What was the question?
Moving away.
Wait. I got a better question. Let's skip Hound real quick. I think Jay Vines asked a great question. The expectation from Texas Longhorn legend, quarterback Arsenio Sapp. This guy's got superstar development. I wish we could. Is there any way we could put that on the screen? His stats from Daddy Leagues right now, Hop, or is that not possible?
Test Hop's producing skills.
No, Hop's done a phenomenal job. Shout out to him.
I agree.
This is one of my favorite shows. Watching him maneuver through the videos we had has been the best I've seen so far. Producing this show, I'm very pleased with it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're trying to actually add on to that. The show's not over. We still probably have 5 more minutes left. But I just want to give a big shout out to Hop on that. He's done a great job. But Arsenio Sapp, I mean, this is a superstar development quarterback. This is the guy that they wanted. He's got the tools. He's got the athleticism. He has the arm strength. He can pretty much do it all as well. I absolutely think this kid is going to be a stud. 22 years old, 6'3", 222 pounds. He's 86 short, 78 medium, 72 deep, but he has superstar development. That's 2,000 XP every week if you didn't know. He was the 4th pick in the first round NBL Season 29 rookie draft. So I'm excited about this guy. I think he's going to be a big-time player. Maybe year 1 he tries to figure it out, but he's got Marquise Babers over there. And that guy, I'm really high on that guy as well. Also, Rashard Swan, the big 6'5". Both of these receivers 6'5", So he has weapons right off the bat. Now it's all about Lip. It's all about chemistry. As Hop gets it on the board right there, you're going to see Arsenio Sapp. I mean, it's just a crazy potential you have here, especially with superstar development quarterback.
Yeah, nice job there, Hop. That's good job getting that up there on the fly.
Oh, Lip's impressed.
I am impressed.
You're going to give him one of those coins. Hey, Hop's in the military. Hop knows about those little, like, what do they call, like captain coins or some kind of coins you get? I remember
Yeah.
I got one from a higher ranking, I think it was like a colonel or something one time. I was like, what do I want this for? I never understood that. But all right, getting back to the topic, Arsenio Sapp.
49ers.
Okay.
This is it.
This is it. This is the year?
You've gotta win the division this year. The Seahawks have completely fallen apart. I don't think the Rams are quite there, and I don't think the Cardinals are quite there. The division was won at 7-9 last year. This is the 49ers' time. This has been the most patient. Uh, I love this strategy of building. Like I said on draft night, over the past couple drafts, you get Babers and Swan. We all know those guys are tremendous talent, superstars in this league. Now they've got some experience. You bring in Sapp. I'm so excited to watch these guys work. I don't think that there's any way that that anybody else could win this division with these guys playing. Like you said, now it's all about the chemistry, but they have the pieces in place. Let them build. I think that this could be the 49ers division for the rest of the cycle because of these three guys. And I know that October plays good defense. The 49ers have always played good defense, and that's always been the thing that I think of when I think of them. Now they've got the real offensive weapons in those three guys. I'm extremely excited about it. I think that could definitely be their division for the rest of the cycle.
Guys, you want to know what's so great about the Madden Bomber League? You can join the league. Go to 365.maddenbomberleague.com. You apply to be in the development league, the grid, and you work your way up through the grid to get an opportunity when a spot opens up, which it rarely does. And I'm going to be honest with you, it rarely does. So we're looking for the cream of the crop that come out of grid to get into the MBL. Guys, what the 49ers have done is exactly what the MBL is about. It's a slow build. It's a realistic build, a real-life build. You don't flip your team in a season. He's been doing this for 3 seasons, grinding it out, trying to fill hole after hole, and I think it's finally starting to come together. He's getting his defense in line. His offense, he's got him at the skill positions. His offensive line still needs a little bit of work. I still think they're about a season and a half away from really seeing what this team is going to be, but I'm really excited for the future in San Francisco. So we got a couple other questions. Let's see what we got here. Let me see what I like. Z-Star says, will we see any new teams in the playoffs? Yeah, I'll go with an easy one. The Vikings make the playoffs. That'll be a new team. See, I can take shots at you, Hop, and still bring you up at the same time. You see that what it is? That's rebuilding someone's character. By saying Hop's going to make the playoffs, it upsets him. Because he thought he should have been a playoff team last year, but he wasn't. He 100% gets in. I mean, that's a no-brainer, Lip. Anybody that you think missed the playoffs last year that gets in, anybody? Lip? Can I hear you, Hop? Okay, so Hop's talking over me as we talk, if you're wondering why the weird pause. He's trying to get in my head, but man, it's locked. It's a padlock. It's a 10-number combination. You got to enter that in and then put your thumbprint in.
It's Stafford's number 10 times. That's what that.
Yeah, but then it's a thumbprint cut off Michael Jordan for the 6th time, baby. So here's what we're doing. Lip, any of these teams you think get in? Quickly. Let's wrap this up.
No, nothing about me's quick. We saw what the Cowboys did last year. We saw what the very impressive New Orleans Saints did last year, making it to the NFC Championship.
Oh yeah, that's a team.
But I'm going with a team that this owner wasn't here last year. I'm going with the Texans because, boy, did they draft 2 stars. They got themselves a quarterback and a cornerback. I am so excited about these 2 guys. They got Geralt and Hartman, the cornerbacks. These two guys are superstars. They're studs. I think that this is the team that's going to challenge Sonny Weaver, and I'm very excited to watch it go down because I like to watch Sonny crash and burn.
Man, no, and shout out to Jacksonville Jaguars. They might make it in, man. Big shout out to 40 Days. I think he's got an opportunity to make a splash in the AFC, but that's pretty much all I see right there as far as changes in the AFC to make the playoffs. Maybe the New England Patriots step up and win the division. But I think we're talking about people that, I guess, New England Patriots. We'll go with them. I think they also have an opportunity. AFC's open, man. There's a couple spots in there. It depends on scheduling and who plays who could get in there in that wild card. But New Orleans Saints, big shout out to them. They're on the rise, man. Very tough, competitive team. Very young, fast team on defense. Defensive line is phenomenal over there. Young quarterback. And once they get that quarterback, feeling 100% comfortable and he's feeling good, I think this team has an opportunity to really make a real significant contender push rather than, we always say contender, pretender. I think they're in that category to be a potential contender in the next couple seasons. All right, what's another question we got?
I just want to add on top of that, the Chiefs drafted 3 players with fast development. I think that they were sitting at 3rd in the division last year, I think. I think that with the scheduling combination, that could put them into the playoffs if they use those good draft picks and push them into the playoffs. I think that's a possible play because they play great defense as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about Draco probably not as much as we should, but a consistent winner in the MBL, and he figures out his division opponents, and he's starting to get some division wins. You can expect him to start challenging for that division, and we probably sleep on him way more than we should, but great job bringing him up. Another question we're asking AJ Green going to the Seahawks, free agency, boom or bust? I'm going to go with a boom. I don't think he puts up a ton of numbers, but I think he's going to be big for them in key spots. And we know that Seattle likes to use those big receivers and give them those 50-50 opportunities. They didn't have that last year, and they struggled. Let's see if AJ Green can kind of turn back the hands of time a little bit, only a couple times a game, and make some big plays that allow this team to continue to move the chains, and they start getting more points on the board. And that could make Seattle's offense just, have a pulse and be a little bit better than they were last season.
Yeah, I think that's a straight up bust. I think AJ Green in that offense is not. It's a big name signing. That's all you got. Russell Wilson's been on the decline because the defense is falling apart, so he doesn't have that to lean on. You've got Thomas Rawls, but that's all you've really got because of the decline of Wilson. He can't handle the pressure like he once could. So I don't think that's a good move. I think that money could have been used elsewhere.
All right, and that's going to do it for the show. I mean, I don't have anything else. Homer said big shout out to Lip and Bomber for the show consistency. Thank you, Homer. Appreciate that. Yeah, man, to be consistent is probably what League Crawler said when he gave us League of the Year again this season. You can go to leaguecrawler.com. You can find leagues. If you're looking for leagues, you can rate players that you played alongside with. Great website to find information about the community as well as, CFM leagues. And that's what we're all about here. Check them out, leaguecrawler.com. He said consistency is what really just separates us from the rest of the pack, and that's what we try to lead by example through consistency. We've been trying to do that since we started the show, and we had this vision for the Commissioner Corner podcast. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hop wants to put up the Photoshop picture of Sonny and Star, but then it would make our show almost a joke. So you can put it up there for like a second.
I'm taking your coin back, Hop.
When you lost the coin, just put it up there for half a second and watch the. I mean, let's just say Star looks a little nosy, if you know what I mean.
I started calling him Mr. Cheeks.
Man, he is scrolling. Look at those muscles, guys. I mean, this is a guy who works out consistently.
He
but
told
he didn't
me
tell
I was
us
gonna have
it was
heart
aerobics
disease by the time I was 27.
It was aerobics.
He's already got it.
He wasn't lifting weights. He's going to aerobic classes. Look at those. Oh, but man, that guy's got. I mean, that's that right there, and that's his actual height, guys. That is not you can actually set your phone up just vertical. You see him. He's about 3 inches tall. And man, that guy's built. He's built uniquely. That's for sure. Those arms. Wow, man. He's probably 63 pounds soaking wet with heels on. He's 4'7" with heels on. I guess we're done clowning him. Let's end the show, Lip. Let's close this out.
Episode number 30, Commissioner Corner Podcast. Thank you so much for being with us. Got to give a big shout out to Deck in the chat posting that 365.maddenbomberleague.com/join if you want to get into the grid and work your way up to MBL. And I'm going to do this. Big shout out to Hop. Thank you for producing the show this week. Did a very good job. Way to pull them things up on the fly. Like I said, make sure you guys, if you want to get onto that part of the show where we talk about what you suggest to our owners, to the league, get that out to the team Twitter. You can find that on 365.maddenbomberleague.com or tweet it at us at Bomber League. Get that on there. We're going to try to implement that into our show more and more. Once again, thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you again on the next episode.